So in this class, in the first module, I'm in your oral skills assignment. I'm asking you to imagine if you could create one law that everybody in the world had to obey, what would that law be? Now, until now, I've gotten some really, really good answers. Some of you have given me some excellent answers. And I'm still waiting for the rest of you to send your assignment. What would that law be if you could create one law? So what we're going to do at this moment, we're going to watch a really short video. It's like 2 minutes. And then based on that video, we're going to discuss what would be a good law that we could establish that everybody in the entire planet had to obey. Oh, I can see Owen. He's the new kid. Good to see you. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. The video is only 2 minutes. Nicole, why is Nicole? Oh, Nicole, you're in a car. You're going somewhere. Okay. You're not going somewhere. You're not in a car. You're in a car. Yes. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. Let's pay attention to this. And while you're watching the video, I want you to be thinking about what would be a good law that we could create to keep stuff like this from happening. Okay, I'm going to pause this so I don't have to. Okay, so first of all, let's discuss what we just watched. Okay, I want you to give me your impression of what we just watched. Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, I think that we just watch how the people can change other people just by doing some actions. An example is the person that was like lonely and every time was like, I could say boring, an example. And a lady grabbed his arm, and the guy just like changed because he felt like good for helping other people.
Brilliant. Who else wants
and
to?
Then
go ahead.
He changed for life, I can say, and he can change other people like he was.
Good. Who else wants to tell me, what did we just watch? What was this thing about? Don't let me have to start calling names again. Come on, people. Okay. Ting Marin de los Pingüe Cucarama. Let's go ahead, Luis.
We can see a person that don't interesting to help the other person and he disanimate and don't like help person because he's boring.
Okay, so then my question to you is this. Are we obligated to help other people? Is it like an obligation? Christian says yes, Daniel says no, Marcela says no, Diego says no. The rest of you say no. So Christian, why did you say yes?
No, teacher, I said no.
Oh, come on. Okay, so who thinks we are obligated to help other people? We are obligated. Yes, Luis? Luis, are you raising your hand or just, what are you doing there? What's this? No? No? Oh my goodness, this child. Okay, so we are not obligated to help other people, right? It's not an obligation. But, complete that sentence. We're not obligated to help other people, but, who wants to complete this?
But we do when we see that someone needs our help.
Okay. But we should when we see that someone needs our help. Okay, so let's look at the first example, right? The guy is walking down the street and, no, he's in the elevator and there's somebody coming running. That's very common. It happens a lot. Are you obligated to hold the elevator for that person? No, but then why should you do it? Why is it a good idea to do it?
because you are
Mhm.
helping the person.
And
But
what's the benefit for you when you help somebody?
well, the people is going to give her gratitude.
Okay, the person says thank you.
But if you see in the video, you can see that the guy didn't do it,
Yes.
but like the girl see it like with bad face. I think if the girl see like with bad face because he didn't open the elevator.
Okay, so people, be honest. How many of you go into an elevator and you see somebody running and you would stop the elevator for the person? How many of you would do it? 2. Okay, be honest. Okay, about 4 or 5, some of you. Okay, so Casey, you wouldn't do it. Tell me why not.
I don't know, because I think it's full the elevator and the person do not.
Okay, let's say it depends on the person. Is that what you're trying to say? It depends on the person? Okay, so if you're getting into the elevator and you see Mariantito coming running to the elevator, what would you do? Would you stop the elevator or would you press the button so it moves faster?
I would press the bottom.
But if you got into the elevator and you see a very, very old lady coming and she's walking really, really slowly and she's telling you to hold the elevator, would you hold the elevator? Anybody? Or you're in a hurry, you gotta go somewhere and this woman is walking too slowly. Would you hold the elevator? Let's see, Sean, what would you do?
Yes, teacher, I will hold it, and then I will tell what I was like. If it's like an emergency, I will not hold it. But if it's like for work or something like that, I will hold it.
Okay. The second thing that we saw was that this little girl was in the park with a balloon, right? And the balloon flew away. And he's tall enough, he could have gotten it. If that were you, would you grab the girl's balloon? Let's see, Emily.
Yes, I will do it.
Do you know that one time that actually happened to me? I was in Costa Rica when I was studying. I was a kid, probably 17. And I was in a bus, and there was this little boy with a balloon, right? And so he let go, and the balloon was just going all over the bus. So I got out of my seat, and I jumped, and I grabbed the balloon, and I gave it back to him. And they never said thanks. And I'm like, I'm a superhero. Nobody said thanks. But okay, ni modos. So one of the things that Danielle just mentioned is that you get the gratitude from the person, but what happens if the person doesn't say thanks? How would you feel? I know I felt bad. I was like, I want to take the balloon and throw it out the window. But I was a kid, I was 17, right? But how would you feel if you hold the elevator for somebody or you grab their balloon and they don't say thanks? Daniela, how would you feel?
Disgusted.
Okay, that describes it. Because you expect at least, right? And the person doesn't say anything. So in the third instance, he's walking by and there's this lady handing out papers or flyers looking for volunteers. Do you always take all the papers that people are giving you on the street? I know I don't. Should you take them to be nice? I thought that was a really random example to put in the film, because you don't have to take the papers people give you on the street, because no, and especially now in COVID time, but before, no, you don't have to, because you're not interested in un préstamo, un auto, or some other foolishness, so you don't have to take the paper. And the last one with him, the old lady crossing the street. I don't know how to silence that phone, so I just have to throw it. So the last one was the old lady crossing the street. Have you ever helped an old woman cross the street? Let's see, Diego. Diego, why are you in the dark? Diego in the dark. Have you ever helped somebody cross the street? No? Anybody here ever helped anybody cross the street? No. Tomas? No. Oh. Okay, so what would you do if the person comes for you to help them and they're walking so slowly? Like traffic is getting backed up. What would you do? Would you help the person or would you just say like, sorry? What would you do? Let's see.
Help the person.
You would help the person, Luis. What about you, Marcela?
Maybe I would help because maybe someday I would be in that time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would need the help.
Yeah. And what about if you don't even want to cross a street and this person needs to cross, but you don't need to cross the street? Would you still help the person? Alondra, tell me, what would you do?
Okay, let me think.
You don't need to cross the street.
No, I don't need it, but if the person need it, I help.
Okay.
Because someday I wanted to that way, and I wanted to somebody help me, so I help other people.
Casey?
I will help because the traffic light could change and the person will not pass the street.
Okay. Is there anybody here who would not help? Be honest. You don't need to cross the street. Would you help somebody else cross the street? Let's hear from you, Owen. Would you?
No, teacher,
So see, he's being honest. Why not?
because I am in my way, like I have to be in other ways, like helping a lady.
Yeah. And that's okay. You don't have to help people. You help people because it comes out of your heart. Okay? So it's not an obligation. And that's very important. So the thing is, thinking about this entire film that we just watched, the short film, let's go back to the question that's in your module. If you could create one law that everybody in the entire universe had to obey, what law would that be? I'm going to start calling names based on that film that we just watched, okay? So I'm going to start at the bottom of my screen. At the bottom, I have Marcela, Tomas, and Diego. Let's go, Marcela. If you could create one law based on that film.
I think that I would create the law of the patience, maybe.
Of what?
Patience.
Patience.
Paciencia.
Okay, patience. And can you tell me why? Why patience?
Because people normally like didn't have it. And they start like, I don't know how to say it, yell and insult you because they are mad or something like that. I think that I will create that law.
Okay, that's a good one. Tomas, what law would you create based on the film we just watched?
I will create a law so everyone has to watch anime.
What does that have to do with the film we just watched?
Oh, I will create a law that everyone has to help the grandmas cross the street.
Okay, why, Tomas?
Because maybe when they grow up, they will be grandmas too.
Okay, Tomas had Tigo issues. Diego, talk to me. What law would you create based on the film we just watched?
To not give papers in the street.
That's a good law. Why?
My mom once told me that there are papers that have drugs on it, and
Yes,
I got scared. I don't like papers from street.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that. Yeah. Okay, so next we have Sean, Emily, Daniela, and Nicole. Let's go, Sean. If you had to create a law, I'm sorry, that's just how you show up on my screen. If you had to create one law and everybody in the entire world had to obey based on that film, what would that law be?
It will be like a transit rule because in the film we saw that the car almost um almost killed the man and the grandma, and like that people couldn't drive a car never in their life.
So you would do some kind of traffic law. Traffic. Yes. Okay. Emily?
I will create a law that is an obligation to keep the elevator open is it not full.
Okay. That's a good law. Daniela?
I would increase the time it takes for older people to safely go through and don't get an accident and die.
The time for them to cross the street.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good law. Nicole? Hello, Nicole.
I still don't know. Let me think. Can I go later?
Okay, Nicole. So next I have Luis, Alondra, Christian, and Casey. Luis, what law would you create and why?
I I would create a law that the discrimination is don't permitted.
Discrimination is not permitted. Okay, so in which part of the film did you see discrimination?
Because around the world, the world have person that discriminate the others. For example, a person white that say black to other person, this is a discrimination because judge this person.
Yeah, I agree. What does that have to do with the film we just watched? Your law has to be based on the film. But okay, let's go, Alondra. Based on the film.
Okay, I think that the law I will create it based off the film was that adults, it's like obligation that the adults help children who need it.
Okay, that's a good law. Christian?
Based on the film, I will create a law and all the adults can have a good attitude in public.
All adults have to have a good attitude. Is that what you said? In the week?
In public.
In public. Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be a good law, but wow. Okay, good. Casey, based on the film.
Okay, based on the film, I would create the law that cars go slower on the street because many accidents occur on the street.
Okay, good law. Then we have Daniel, Owen, and Gianluigi. Let's go, Daniel.
I would create a law of putting in the beach cameras.
Cameras on the beach, why?
Because in a part of the film, we can watch that the guy was picking bottles and trash on the beach. But then my law is to put cameras on the beach and look who is the person or people who throw that trash in the beach.
Okay, good. That's a good law. Okay, now people, there's one rule. Latinos never say beach because it always sounds like a bad word. So use the word ocean. Okay? Yes, because when you say beach, because of your Latino accent, it actually sounds like a bad word. So no. Use the word ocean. Ocean. Okay, let's go, Owen. What law would you create?
My law will be that for every help you do for another person, you will receive at least 50 cents, like to encourage people to help others.
Wow, that's a nice law. That's a nice law. Some people would be very, very rich and some would get no money. That's a very good law. And Gianluigi.
I think that I will create one law that especially for is especially made for the older persons when they cross the street, that automatically when a driver see an older person to stop, because that person cannot, or maybe they could not walk like faster by the older.
That's a good law. And Nicole, we're back to you, Nicole.
I'll create a law that makes people help, especially the older generations or people with disabilities, to help them if they need it.
Yeah. That's a beautiful law. Okay, so let's think about COVID. Think about COVID. We've been locked up almost for more than a year. If you could create a law that would make COVID more manageable, what law would that be? Think about COVID and all the stuff that has happened since last March when we were all locked up in our homes like bad children. It's been more than a year and a half almost. If you could create one law, what would it be? So I'm going to give you 20 seconds to think. Okay. Now, all of you have seen, not all of you, but some of you must have seen those videos of people having parties in the middle of COVID, right? There are a lot of videos going around of that. Maybe you've seen them, maybe you've not. And people are always saying, but why doesn't the government do something, stop them from having parties, blah, blah, blah. But my question always is the party really the problem? So think about that and let's start. What would be one law that you would create based on all that we have lived during this year and a half to make COVID come under more control? Who wants to start? This is going to be voluntary, but everybody got to talk. Go ahead, Daniel.
I would create a law.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be allowed. I would create a law of patrol.
Patrol? Like on the streets? Okay, for what?
To watch the people. Well, in the night, not in the day or something like that. Like between the 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
to much.
Okay.
To control and watch the people. But it's not a problem if the people is doing the party is for family. Like all the people in the party is family because they are in the bubble, that familiar bubble.
The famous bubble that's very, very big for some people. Okay. Okay, so who wants to go next? What would be a law to get us out of COVID? Let me see. Diego Lopez.
More quarantine.
More quarantine?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, why?
Because when we are in quarantine and we stay at home, the cases of COVID get really down and low. And when we are free, like the weekends, you see the COVID cases get really high.
Yeah, but that all people get accumulate on their houses make the get more probably to get like electric issues and water issues also.
What do you mean by electric issue?
That normally the I don't know how to say the electric machines that produce our electricity get like over like not I think like overheat it's the word and gets our electric issues to don't get electricity or the water also the water potabilizadoras
Yeah, waterworks, waterworks.
no don't make this sufficient water to provide to every house.
So what you're saying, Gianluigi, is that if everybody stays home, we're all gonna have electrical problems, power surges, for instance, where it fluctuates. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. That's an interesting perspective.
The problem is that they don't make that well because if they made that well, that's don't supposed to be happen.
Okay, I get your point. So what would be your law, Gianluigi?
I don't know, teacher. Maybe to make it free and make the government more like transparency because that's the main problem of Panama that we don't we know what the government want to that we know.
So you want more transparency in the government?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, somebody else. Go ahead, Christian.
Teacher, this will be very catastrophic, but only vaccinated people can go outside.
Oh my goodness.
With their masks on, it will be more safe here for the country.
Only vaccinated people can leave their houses. And the rest of us, what we gotta do? Stay home and...
In your phone, you can call to come for food.
Okay.
Another thing.
That's an interesting law, Christian.
I think a cows.
You think what?
A cows.
You think it would create chaos? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe because not all the country is vaccinated.
Mm-hmm. And then how would they control who's vaccinated or not? You have to show something?
Yes, you need to have like identify like your yes. When you are vaccinated, the hospitals can identify you as vaccinated.
Okay, so then the police is gonna be on the street just asking everybody for their card, for their vaccine card.
Can you repeat, teacher?
So you're saying the police should be on the street just asking people to show them the vaccine card.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have it, you get arrested.
Yes, or a payment.
Okay. That's an interesting law. Okay, who's got another one? Let's go ahead, Alondra.
I was like created the law that prevent people from going to places where there are too many people, like disco parties and more places.
Okay. So it would be a law that people can't go into large groups.
Yeah, because so many people in one place, so many causes of COVID, so no. I
Okay.
don't like it. I wanted to go outside my home and go for the supermarket, my academy, and more things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you, Owen? What law would you create?
I think my law will be that you don't have to wait to be in your house to disinfect the products. Like you in the supermarket, you will disinfect it, and if you don't want the product, there will be disinfected to other people.
Okay, so you want the supermarket to disinfect all the products before you buy them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good law. Tomas, what would be a good COVID law? Please don't tell me that everybody has to watch anime during COVID. Oh my goodness, he's gone again. Go, there you go. Talk to me.
Maybe to make any form of mass social gathering with a fine of over $1,000.
Okay, so anybody who has like a big party has to pay $1,000. Is that what you're saying?
If they get caught, yes.
Get caught. Okay, good, but who gets that money?
The government.
That's an issue, but yeah, that's a good law. That's a good law. Okay, who else has a law? A COVID law. Go ahead, Marcela.
I think that everybody that have a party could have like 10 people, 10 persons with distance and mask and alcohol. I don't know how to say it.
Same thing, alcohol.
Okay. I think that would be a law.
But it depends on the size of your house, right? Because if you have a tiny house and you got 10 people in there, it's kind of hard. If you have a big house, 10 people, that would be different. So maybe if you want to have a party, they should measure your house to tell you how many people can go to your party. I don't know.
Yes, I say it because when you like say, no, you can do it, the people do it more. So I think that would be a good law because people maybe would follow it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. What about you, Daniela? What would be a good COVID law? People, you do realize that in a few years, probably 10 years, you're going to be the ones making the laws in this country, right? You know this, right? You don't know this? Well, you should, because you're going to be the adults making the laws. Go ahead, Daniela. What would be a good COVID law?
That they hit the ones that don't because the Panamanians don't follow the rules. So that's my law.
Them.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean? Give me a COVID law.
I will take like the people who is doing parties and are not doing things correctly, like to do social work and clean the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I think that way they will learn that they don't have to do that.
I don't think they would learn, but at least the streets would be clean. They're not going to learn. Anybody else has another COVID law before we move on to the third one? The third set of laws that you're going to do. Anybody has a COVID law? One more person? Let me see. Who has not spoken for a minute? Luis. Luis Harris. Tell me a COVID law.
Use don't go back of home.
Back home.
No salir de casa.
Oh, don't leave your home. So you want quarantine like Diego Lopez, complete quarantine. Okay, so now I want you to think about what's gonna happen Oh, Nicole, you didn't give me your COVID law. Do you have a COVID law? Oh, she reached wherever she was going. Did you give me your COVID law, Nicole? Do you have a COVID law? No? Okay. So think about in a few months when it's time to go back to school and business as usual. Everything is going to be back to normal. I want you to think of one law that every single school should implement. Okay, so there's no more COVID. There's no more need for the temperature and the alcohol and all of that. What would be one law that schools need to implement when we go back full-time, full schedule to school? Who wants to be first? Okay, remember, no more COVID. It's gone. It just left. So your law can't be anything with alcohol in the classrooms or disinfect the benches or anything like that because COVID is gone. But schools are going to reopen full time, and there has to be one law that you think should be applied to every single school. Let's go. Who wants to start? Diego, are you raising your hand? Or
Repeat, teacher.
Yes, what were you saying, Daniel?
Repeat.
Okay. Let's pretend in a few months, COVID disappears. The coronavirus just disappears completely. And it's no longer a threat or a risk. And schools reopen full-time once again. I want you to think of one law that every school has to implement starting whenever COVID finishes. What would be a good law? Think about school. One thing that you think should change in schools post-COVID, the days after COVID. Let's go, Daniel.
Have obligatory alcohol.
Yeah, but remember, COVID is gone. The law that you're going to come up with has nothing to do with COVID, but it has to do with people going back to school. Because right now, mandatory alcohol is a law. Everywhere you go, there's got to be alcohol. Yes, Luis.
Have 2 meters of distance.
Okay. You people are stuck in COVID land. There's no more COVID. Yes, Marcela.
I think that maybe if COVID go, maybe too many people would be afraid of that it could be like a game. So I think that the people could have the like have to choose if you want to go to school or you can have virtual classes.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, people, what I want you to do is to imagine the world the world without COVID. COVID no longer exists. It's no longer a threat. So what I'm noticing here is that you have been in COVID for so long that it's kind of hard for you to picture the world without masks and alcohol and temperature. I want you to imagine that that's no longer necessary. Okay? It's no longer necessary. And everybody got over the trauma of having your temperature taken everywhere and people spraying alcohol on you and having to wear a mask. It's over. And this is really interesting because I'm noticing this. Okay, so it's over. Tell me one law that schools could implement. So Marcela says school doesn't have to be in-person mandatory. You can stay home and get your classes if you want. And Danielle said alcohol. And Luis said, I don't remember what Luis said. But you're all just circling the COVID. I need you to step away from COVID. Let's pretend it no longer exists. And tell me a good law. Yes, Christian.
Teacher, I think divide the number of children in each classroom because if they have more than 20 children in a classroom with only a teacher is catastrophic and horrible. And for me, it's better to divide them depending on their notes. Like the more intelligence in, for example, 6A and 6B, 6C, and like that.
So you want to divide
Like,
kids according to intelligence.
like in public schools, they do the same.
Yeah, but public schools have like 40 kids in a classroom in some of them.
Yes, because it's public, it's for everyone. But it would be a great idea to have the classroom divided by the notes of the kids. But you need to have more teachers and more rules in each classroom.
So you're thinking about a classroom that has how many kids? 7 students?
Like 10 in each classroom.
Okay. That's super interesting.
I have a law.
Go ahead, Daniel, with your law. Tell me.
That sometimes in the school, in the Friday, you can go casual.
Okay. Okay, so casual Friday.
That the casual day returns.
Okay, so that has to be a law. Every school has to do casual Friday. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but no, not all the time, just sometimes. Like
once
2 times or 3 times a month.
But 3 times a month is like almost all the time because there are only 4 Fridays in a month.
2 times.
Okay, one more law before we finish. Who has a good law for schools when COVID disappears? I thought somebody would say that school should start later. So everybody's okay with the madrugadera once COVID goes away. No, in this year, you haven't had to wake up that early. Yes, Luis, what were you saying?
Make extermination around the world.
Extermination around the world. Who are you exterminating, Luis?
So with detergente. So
Still thinking of COVID. Luis, the world is going to go on without COVID very soon. Okay, come on, people. Tell me one rule, one law that every school has to implement as soon as COVID is gone. Imagine the possibility of living in a world without COVID, just like it used to be before. What would be one law that you think schools should implement? So everybody okay with waking up?
Upgrade the level of English in public and private schools in Panama.
Okay.
More in public schools, because if we imagine that everybody could speak a little bit of English in Panama, there are more opportunities for all the people to get out of the country and work and get successful, or that to society say that it's successful.
Okay. That's a good law. Okay, people, so this was interesting. Anybody has another law, or we close with this? I want you to start imagining the world without COVID, people. It's not going to be forever. I know right now it feels like you're going to wear a mask for the rest of your life, but no. Remember that there was a pandemic about 100 years ago, and then it just left, it disappeared. And yes, maybe there will be another pandemic before 100 years, but we're going to be okay, okay? We're going to survive. And COVID is not going to be here forever. You don't believe me? Oh my goodness, my poor little traumatized kids. Okay, so do your homework, send me your assignments. Any questions, it must be english@gmail.com. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, teacher. God bless you all.
Amen.